Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome inside Pheno Field as Milford TV is happy to present coverage of Scarlet Hawks athletics. Tim Coet here on the call. I'll be joined by Anthony Mazzini in just a few short minutes. We're getting set for a late season showdown between two teams from the Davenport division, your Milford Scarlet Hawks and the visiting Oliver Ames Tigers. Always a good rivalry matchup when these two teams get together. And for the Milford Scarlet Hawks, you no doubt know the story by now. This team playing for their playoff lives. Just one more loss and this team will officially be eliminated from playoff contention as the teams already get set to take the field. So we are going to get a quick start to this game. But Milford coming in with 10 losses on the season, one more, and that 37-year streak of making the playoffs will come to an end here in 2016. But looking to play hard here down the stretch. They came through with a good victory against Canton in their last game. They have not won back-to-back games all season long, so hoping to change that here this afternoon to finally start to build some forward momentum. And again, taking on an Oliver Ames team also under the 500 mark on the season, despite being in second place in the Davenport division standings. They had a very rough start to the season, just 2 wins over their first 7 games, but they have put it together of late. A nice winning streak, a big extra inning victory, 1-0 over Sharon their last time out. So these are two teams that are relatively even in terms of talent, in terms of where they are in the standings, in terms of really all kinds of statistics up and down the line. So it should be an even matchup here today and a lot at stake for this Milford Scarlet Hawks team. But we will continue on with our pregame information, as right now, again, the team is already out there on the field. Alex Masick going through his warm-up tosses, so we will go right into the starting lineups for the game. We will start with the visitors. The Oliver Ames Tigers leading it off is their shortstop, Chris Romero. The second baseman, Matt Muir, bats second, with Josh Miniskin, the catcher, batting third. Ryan Adams is the designated hitter, batting fourth, with Kyle Gagliardi, the left fielder, batting fifth. Travis Campbell, the center fielder, bats sixth, with Chris Pearsons, the third baseman, batting seventh. Batting eighth is the first baseman, Jeff Capisi, and batting ninth and playing right field is Matt Mancini. And on the mound in this one for the Oliver Ames Tigers will be Nick Zwirly. And for the Milford Scarlet Hawks, their lineup looks like this. Chris Speroni leads it off in center, with Alex Cody in as the DH, batting second. Batting third and playing shortstop is Aiden Wild, with Blake Hill in the cleanup spot playing right field. Zach Tamani is the left fielder, batting fifth, with Alex Masick, the starting pitcher, batting sixth. Anthony Arcudi plays second base and bats seventh, with Nick Johnson, the catcher, batting eighth. And in the ninth spot playing first base is Brian Ireland. Again, Milford taking on Oliver Ames. And I will welcome in now my broadcast partner for the game today, Anthony Mazzini. Anthony, a little bit of a homecoming for you here this afternoon back at Pheno Field after your years on this Milford varsity team. So obviously a bit of an interesting scenario for the team. No doubt the players in the dugout must be feeling the pressure, knowing that their next loss will officially bring an end to their playoff hopes.
Yeah, it's certainly a tough situation to be in, Tim, and obviously you got two great coaches at the helm. You got Coach Pellegrini and Coach Dion. They certainly know how to lead a ball team, and they're trying to gel these guys together right now. They certainly know the situation themselves. Pheno Field has seen a lot of competitive games between these lines, and I think we're in for another good game here today between Oliver Ames and Milford.
And set to get it going right on time here at the stroke of 4 p.m. as Alex Masick's first pitch into Chris Romero was fouled away. Baseball underway at Pheno. A terrific day for baseball this afternoon. Temperatures in the 70s, sunny, blue skies overhead. Perfect spring baseball weather as Masick deals in his 0-1 pitch. And that is on the inside part of the plate for a called strike 2. Romero, a right-handed batter in there against the right-handed throwing Masick. He goes back into his windup. Here is the pitch. And that misses a little bit up and outside. Masick right back on the rubber, stares in for the sign, back into the wind. Here's the 1-2 pitch. He tried to hold up, and it will go as strike 3. Nick Johnson applies the tag to complete the putout, so it is a strikeout to open the ball game for Alex Masick.
It's a good sequence right there by Masick. Started him out with a couple fastballs to get ahead, showed him his off-speed pitch on the 0-2, and then came right back with the off-speed pitch on 1-2 and was able to get the strikeout.
Bases empty, 1 down now for Matt Muir, who takes a look at ball 1. the pitching is certainly stabilizing for Milford over the course of the second half of the season. As the wave and a miss from Muir evens the count at 1. Alex Masick comes into the game. This is his 4th start of the season. The 1-1 pitch, and that just grazes Muir. Just barely making contact. You could hear Coach Pellegrini double checking with the umpire that that did indeed make contact with the batter, but judgment call for the home plate ump. It goes as a hit by pitch, so it's a 1-out base runner for the Tigers.
Must have just barely hit him. Maybe a jersey, because it certainly didn't hit any part of his body.
If you're going to get hit, that's the way to do it. Runner at first base now ahead of Josh Miniskin, one of the captains for Oliver Ames. Masick now out of the stretch with that runner, and instead timeout called at the plate. Your defensive alignment for Milford: Nick Johnson behind the plate, Cody Pratt at third, Aiden Wild at short, Anthony Arcudi at second, and Brian Ireland at first. Left to right in the outfield, Zach Tamani, Chris Speroni, and Blake Hill. Cody Pratt flexed out of the lineup, only playing defensively as Milford operates with both the DH and the pitcher in the starting lineup. Finally, we see a pitch here, and it's outside. It skips to the backstop, and the runner will advance. So Masick uncorks a wild pitch, and that will put the runner in scoring position now.
That's a tough ball for Johnson to handle behind the plate. Looked like a off-speed breaking ball, kind of got away from Masick and well out of the reach of Johnson.
Here's the 1-0 pitch. It's hit on the ground on a big bounce, but foul wide of third base. Masick comes into the game today with a 2.06 ERA, so he has pitched well. He's allowed a total of 5 earned runs so far on the season in 17 innings pitched. He's walked 9, struck out 21. About to deliver a 1-1 pitch to Miniskin. Here it is. It's swung on and missed.
One thing I like about Masick and the way he pitches is the way he controls the game, the way his tempo, I guess. You saw him when no one on, he was working quickly. And now with the runner on, he knows how to change his timing, so he keeps the base runners off balance, and he also keeps the batter off balance, not knowing when he's going to throw.
This pitch is lined out to shallow center. It's down for a base hit. Waiting for it is Speroni. They'll wave the runner to the plate. Here comes the throw from Ireland to the plate. It's just too late. Now down to second base and not in time. Taking second on the throw was Miniskin. It goes as an RBI single, as Muir is able to come around from second base to score the game's first run, and Oliver Ames is able to take a 1-0 lead. And now a swing and a miss for Ryan Adams, the designated hitter and cleanup hitter in this Oliver Ames lineup.
I think if Speroni could have that ball back, he would have charged it a little bit more. I know from experience playing in that outfield at Pheno Field is hard, but he could have come on that a little bit better.
Ground ball base hit through the right side. They hold the runner up at third. Back-to-back hits now for Oliver Ames, and it places runners at the corners with still only 1 down. Masick looking strong in that at bat against Chris Romero, but the hit by pitch seems like it has thrown him out of his groove. Since the hit by pitch, he's allowed back-to-back singles and a run. And now here is the left fielder, Kyle Gagliardi. The runner starts and stops from first base as the pitch is a strike.
Purpose for that fake steal right there is for the coaches on the Oliver Ames side to see defensive adjustments, defensive alignments for Milford. So now that he has an idea there, he can maybe put on a hit and run or something of that sort here.
Off-speed pitch drops in for strike 2. Masick would love a K right here to hold those runners at bay.
A K or a ground ball would do them both good here.
The set and the pitch. Hit off the end of the bat to third base, gathered in quickly, a high throw to the plate, but not Johnson able to apply the tag in time. A nice play from Nick Johnson. He reeled in the high throw then immediately got himself down low and was able to swipe the tag on Josh Miniskin to get the out at the plate.
Yeah, that wasn't the best throw by Cody Pratt from third base. He handled the ball well off the ground ball. There's a terrible lip at third base. Handled it well on the ground ball. Made not the best throw, but Nick Johnson made a great athletic play to come down with the tag.
Gagliardi reaches on the fielder's choice. There are now 2 outs in the inning, runners at first and second base, and a called strike 1 dealt into Travis Campbell. All things considered, Masick would certainly be pleased to get out of this inning with just the 1 run scored. And now Masick will be charged with a balk, going to make the pickoff move to first base, but Ireland was playing behind the runner. Masick held on to it, gets charged with the balk.
Being a former first baseman in Coach Pellegrini's system, that was a pickoff play. It was a timed, designed pickoff play. Unfortunately, Ireland wasn't there in time, led to the balk.
And now Masick sends strike 2 into Campbell, so no balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs in the inning, 2 in scoring position, a run home already in the frame for Oliver Ames. The pitch from Alex Masick is waved at and missed for strike 3. So Masick able to bookend the frame with strikeouts. He keeps those runners on the bases, so Oliver Ames will settle for just the 1 run in the frame. So we conclude a half an inning from Pheno Field. It is 1-0 in favor of the Tigers. Milford will take their first swings of the game when we come back next here on Milford TV. Oliver Ames comes through with a run on 2 hits in the top of the first inning. So right away, Milford behind the 8 ball as they send their top 3 hitters to the plate in the bottom half of the first. Chris Speroni, Alex Cody, and Aiden Wild to do their bidding against Nick Zwirly, the sophomore left-handed starter for the Oliver Ames Tigers. As the right-handed batting Speroni digs into the box. The first pitch of the bottom half of the inning dips low and away. And Speroni will start out ahead in the count. Back into the windup now, the 1-0 pitch. Low this time, 2 balls and no strikes.
This could be a great moment for Zwirly here. Not many pitchers can say they've knocked Milford out of playoff contention. And if he can throw a gem right here today, that could very well be the case, and that could be something he could have forever.
Falling behind the first batter of the game, though, 3 balls and no strikes. Speroni a chance to really narrow down his strike zone here. The 3-0 pitch, and it's high for ball 4. So after being staked to the 1-0 lead, Zwirly immediately walks the leadoff batter.
And that's not what you want to do. Your team gives you a lead. You want to go out there, you want to go 1, 2, 3 and get the bats going again. Not the best way to start his outing here.
So now here is the left-handed batting Alex Cody. Lefty versus lefty matchup here.
And you got to think this pitch is going to be a fastball, but I would expect Cody to take a strike here after 4 straight balls.
He does indeed take on the pitch that was well inside. So right now, Zwirly just trying to get a feel for that strike zone. And going up against arguably Milford's most patient batter in Alex Cody. 2 balls and no strikes the count now. That's now 6 straight balls out of the chute from Zwirly.
Looked like he tried the curveball there. The fastball wasn't doing it for him. Tried the curveball, and that one missed just off the plate.
Here's the 2-0, not close. 3 balls and no strikes. Alex Cody leading the team by far in walks with 18. Aiden Wild next with 11. The only 2 that are in double figures in that category. Here comes a 3-0 pitch, and that's right down the chute for a called strike. Finally, Zwirly delivers the first pitch in the zone so far in his outing. Still expect Cody to be patient here on the 3-1 offering. And that hits the zone now, fills the count at 3-2. Speroni out to a lead at first. He's held on. The 3-2 pitch, low and inside for ball 4. Back-to-back walks to open up the bottom of the first.
Certainly not a good start to the day if you're Zwirly.
And immediately a mound visit. One of the Oliver Ames coaches out there. You mentioned, Anthony, the idea of not many pitchers having that opportunity to knock Milford out of the playoff chase. Is that something that you think is really on the minds of these Oliver Ames players here today, knowing that Milford is one game away from elimination?
If I were Oliver Ames, I wouldn't be thinking about what's going on in the other dugout. I'd be thinking about what's going on in their own dugout, because like you mentioned at the beginning, they're under 500 as well. I think you mentioned 6-8 they are. So they're worrying about getting back. They're obviously still in the playoff hunt just like Milford is, but they got to win some games themselves. So if I were them, I wouldn't be worrying about knocking Milford out as much as they'd probably like to because of this rivalry, but I'd be worrying about trying to win this game, get to 7-8, and keep pushing on to get into the playoffs themselves.
Aiden Wild now swings away at a 1-0 pitch, drives it out to center field, tracking it back as Campbell still going back, now loses his feet as the ball lands behind him, coming around to Speroni, flying around third base. Here comes the throw to the plate, the slide, and Speroni is safe. Now the ball trickles away. Alex Cody thinking about traveling down that third base line, but then retreats. Off the bat, that looked like it had the potential to just be a relatively routine fly ball out, but just kept tracking deeper and deeper out there in center field, and Travis Campbell ended up stumbling as he chased that ball, and it ends up going as a base hit for Aiden Wild, and it ties the game at 1.
And I didn't notice it until that ball was hit, but the center fielder was playing very shallow. And if there's one thing I've learned here from playing at Pheno Field, do not let a ball get by you because it will just keep rolling. So you're better off playing a little bit farther back and having that ball land in front of you. If he's playing a couple steps back, that's pretty much an easy fly ball catch. But like I alluded to earlier as well, this outfield is has a lot of dips, has a lot of bumps, and you saw him lose his footing there. He could have got caught in one of those.
Blake Hill now at the plate. He finds himself ahead in the count, 2 balls and no strikes. So that'll go as an RBI single for Aiden Wild. He takes second base on the throw to the plate. Alex Cody went from first to third, so Milford with 2 runners in scoring position with nobody out. Hill a swing and a miss on that pitch that was off the outside part of the plate.
Yeah, it's not a good swing by Blake there. 2-0, you're looking for a pitch in a certain zone. Unless that's his zone, which I don't think it is, low and away, he shouldn't have swung at that one, should have let it go.
Now fouls this pitch over towards the home dugout beyond the third base line, and the count evens at 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Fly ball does the job here if you're Blake Hill. It's not as good as a hit, but fly ball deep enough will score a run.
Hill with a solid .373 batting average coming into play today. This is a fly ball out to shallow left field. Starting back at first was Gagliardi. He's able to recover to make the catch in shallow left field. Too shallow for Cody to try it from third base. So finally Zwirly gets an out in the inning as Hill is retired on the fly ball to left.
If I'm Alex Cody on third base on that play, it's definitely not far enough for you to tag up and score, but I saw him make a little bit like he was going to run home, but he's got to really commit that. Try to get a throw home. Hopefully you get a pass ball, and maybe the runners can advance.
First pitch to Zach Tamani is up high. Zwirly has started off from behind to every Milford batter that has come to the plate so far. 2-0 now to Tamani. Zach has really settled into one of these middle of the order spots in the lineup, settling into this number 5 spot, a .286 batting average. Has a couple of runs batted in. He's also walked 6 times. Pitch high for ball 4, a 4-pitch walk to Tamani, the 3rd walk of the inning. Nobody warming up, at least in our line of vision for Oliver Ames, as Zwirly continues to labor here in the inning. The bases are now loaded with 1 out for Alex Masick. And a first pitch strike dealt in there.
Good opportunity for Masick to help himself out here. Let up a run in the first inning. They've gotten it back since, but he could really open a lead here.
1 ball and 1 strike now is the count.
If I'm head coach Leo Dugan for Oliver Ames, I got to think about getting someone in the bullpen, or at least think about making a pitching change. Obviously, you don't like to do it this early in the game, but Zwirly is definitely having problems finding the zone here.
Falling behind now, 2 balls and 1 strike. Nowhere to put Masick. With Alex Cody at third, Aiden Wild at second, and Zach Tamani at first. Now inside for ball 3, and Zwirly now in serious danger of walking his 4th batter of the inning. This one would result in the go-ahead run crossing the plate. Here is the pitch, and it misses low and away for ball 4, and this will force Alex Cody in from third base.
And it looks like we're going to get a pitching change here.
So Milford now takes the 2-1 lead, and a very short afternoon on the pitcher's mound for Nick Zwirly. So he leaves here with the bases loaded. Was only able to record 1 out in this bottom of the first inning. So we will step aside. We will tell you who the new pitcher is on for the Tigers and any corresponding defensive changes when we come back next here on Milford TV. The new pitcher on for the Oliver Ames Tigers is number 22, Kevin Geary. He inherits a bases loaded situation. Milford has already plated 2 to take a 2-1 lead, and now Anthony Arcudi comes to the plate. Against the right-handed throwing Kevin Geary. And Arcudi takes a look at a called strike 1.
Not the best situation for Geary to come into. Bases loaded.
Arcudi sends this one on the ground to third base. Bobbled there at third, but still time for Chris Pearsons to recover and throw to the plate to get the force out there. That is the only out they get. And that is something that Milford has seen all too often this season. Bases loaded opportunities with less than 2 outs, and that ground ball to third base, cutting down the runner at the plate.
When a pitcher gives you an opportunity, in this case with the amount of walks that's Zwirly let up in early in the game, you got to at least get a fly ball in that situation to score a run, or you got to hit a ball the other way. You got to find a gap. You got to find something. A pitcher, when they're walking that many, they're giving you runs, and you can't have ground balls like that to just cut the out at home.
Nick Johnson trying to come through with the big 2-out hit. He's ahead in the count now, 2 balls and no strikes. The defensive alignment remaining the same for Oliver Ames, just the pitching change. And now a 3-ball, no strike count to Nick Johnson. Brian Ireland, the number 9 hitter, waiting on deck. And the 3-1 pitch sails over the head of Nick Johnson for ball 4. The 5th Oliver Ames walk of the inning, and it forces in another run as Milford now takes a 3-1 lead.
Both pitchers have been missing up primarily, and usually that's a sign of not getting over your front leg, not coming down, not bending your back. And I don't know, it doesn't look like they have necessarily a pitching coach. I know for Milford it would be Alex Dion. He was a pitcher in college, but that's something that a coach needs to see and correct.
Slow rolling ground ball on the first pitch to Brian Ireland to second base. Muir fires to Capisi for the out at first base that ends the inning. So all things considered, Milford sends 9 batters to the plate. They only get a single hit, but 5 walks in the inning allow Milford to score 3 times. And after just a single inning of play, it is Milford 3 and Oliver Ames 1 here on coverage of Scarlet Hawks Athletics on Milford TV. Top of the second inning now, Oliver Ames will bring batters 7, 8, and 9 to the plate against Alex Masick, who has the chance now to pitch with a lead. Gave up a run on 2 hits in the first inning, but did strand 2 runners in scoring position. And now first pitch swinging. This is a hard ground ball through the left side from Chris Pearsons. So immediately, the Tigers go back to work at the plate.
And that's what you want to see. If your pitcher and or defense go down and they let up a couple of runs, that's the best case scenario right there, is to come out swinging, come out attacking, and get a runner on right away with a base hit.
Now here's Jeff Capisi, the first baseman. Pearson's taking a couple of steps down the line on that first pitch from Masick. And now they'll check over there. The throw relatively close, but Pearson's back.
Yeah, I noticed he had a big secondary lead. That was a good idea by Masick in coordination with Ireland and Johnson to throw over.
From the stretch now, here's the pitch. That's in for a strike right at the bottom of the zone.
If I were Johnson, I'd maybe think about throwing over to first base after that secondary lead. With the lefty batter, it would be a tough view for the runner on first to see the ball coming over.
Again, you see that healthy lead. Masick hesitates, now fires in, and that ball is fouled away.
I mean, he's a quarter of the way down the line, or down to second base on that secondary lead.
It's a 1-ball, 2-strike count for the man at the plate, Capisi, batting out of the number 8 spot. The next pitch is swung on and missed. You can see that time Johnson thought about the throw over to first base. Instead holds on to it. It's a strikeout of Jeff Capisi, the 3rd strikeout in the game for Masick.
And that would have been the one, if Johnson wanted to throw it, that would have been the one. It wasn't only a secondary lead, but then it was a little twitch towards second after the swing and miss. And I think he had him dead if he wanted to throw over.
Now here's Matt Mancini, the number 9 hitter. The throw to first, and it was close, but just getting the hand back into the base was Chris Pearson. He is living dangerously over there at first.
That was very, very close at first base. Good tag by Ireland, good move by Masick. Must have just got the back of the bag before the tag was applied.
A little bit of a shorter lead now after that close call. And the pitch is in for a called strike 1 to Mancini. One out and a runner at first base in the top of the 2nd inning. Close pitch, but ruled a ball by the home plate umpire. You wonder if the quick move by Johnson behind the plate.
That's what I was thinking, kind of took it out of the strike zone a little bit too quickly. Didn't give the umpire a chance to see it very well. Did look like a good pitch, though.
Count evens at 1. Now this pitch is a tapper foul.
Good breaking ball there by Masick. From the view up in the booth here, I thought that pitch was going to hit him, but it had good break at the end. Started basically right at his front hip, Mancini's front hip, and broke away toward the outside part of the plate right off the end of the bat.
The 1-2 pitch is lifted in the air out to center field. Plenty of room for Speroni. He makes the catch. And Chris Pearson retreats to the first base bag with now 2 outs in the inning. So after the fly ball out, we go back up to the top spot in the lineup. Chris Romero, one of the 2 Oliver Ames captains who struck out swinging to open up the ball game. And there's another one of those late breaking pitches from Masick. Just hugged the inside part of the plate for a called strike 1. You have to wonder if we're going to see Chris Pearson's try for the steal after all of his theatrics over at first base throughout this inning.
I would have thought he would have gone by now. I would have thought I would have seen a throw by Johnson, too.
Timeout granted at home plate. No balls and 1 strike on Romero, 2 outs, and that runner still at first base. Ground ball up the middle, waiting for it. is Anthony Arcudi. He fires to first base for the out that ends the inning, so the leadoff single for Pearsons proves to be harmless. We've played an inning and a half now from Pheno Field. It is Milford 3 and Oliver Ames 1. Coverage of Milford High School baseball here on Milford TV. Bottom half of the second inning. Milford will once again bring the top of their lineup to the plate after they batted around in the first inning, leading 3-1. And Chris Speroni looks at a called strike one from Kevin Geary now in his first full inning of work, taking over for the starting pitcher Nick Zworley, who only lasted a third of an inning, was responsible for all 3 runs that Milford scored. Speroni down in the count quickly, 0-2, so we're seeing a lot more strikes out of Geary. Here's the 0-2. Too far outside, Speroni wouldn't chase.
Good spot by the catcher, though. You get 2 pitches on the outside part of the plate. You see that as Speroni, the batter, he saw that, so the catcher wants to go just a little bit farther outside, see if he can either get a call or a swing and miss.
Gets the swing and a miss here as Speroni goes down. The first strikeout for Oliver Ames pitching.
That was a good sequence by Geary. Went just outside with the fastball. Something for the hitter to think about. Steps a little bit closer to the plate and then drops a nice little 12-6 deuce for the strikeout.
Now here's Alex Cody. He takes a look at a pitch outside. Cody walked. Back in the first inning, one of 5 Milford walks. Also came around to score a run. Swing and a miss this time from Cody, and the count evens. Good amount of fans around the field here at Pheno taking in the game this afternoon. Perfect day to maybe skip out on work a little bit early and stop in at Pheno Field.
Doesn't get much better than this. Blue skies, couple of clouds. A little hot under the sun, but no complaints.
1-2 pitch. Misses away. Josh Miniskin, the catcher, coming up out of his crouch. Defensively for Oliver Ames, it's Miniskin behind the plate with Chris Pearsons at third, Chris Romero at short, Matt Muir at second, and Jeff Capisi at first. As the pitch is swung on and missed for strike 3, back-to-back Ks for Kevin Geary to open up the second inning. Left to right in the outfield, Kyle Gagliardi, Travis Campbell, and Matt Mancini. Two away for Aiden Wild, who drove in a run with Milford's only hit in the first inning. An RBI single. He took second base on the throw to the plate, trying to cut down Speroni. Milford's leader in batting average once again this season. Wild ahead in the count now, 2 balls and no strikes.
Yeah, 432 batting average coming into today for Wild. I mean, you look at last year, he batted over 500, so it looks like a down year for him, but by no means would anyone consider a 432 batting average a down year. But in comparison to last year when he batted, I think it was 536, finished top 10, I believe, in the state for hitting. I mean, 2 great years put together by a young player.
And now Wild sends this pitch out to left center field. Tracking it is the left fielder Gagliardi, but it drops to the turf, and Wild will end up at second base. That really should have been the center fielder's ball, as it was out there in the left center field gap. Nobody called for it. Gagliardi tried to make the play, but couldn't secure it.
Yeah, if I'm Aiden Wild, I'm pretty fortunate to be standing on second base, and even back in that first inning when he hit that fly ball, he's kind of gotten lucky a couple times here. He's should be thanking someone for these couple hits, thanking the outfield grass maybe for these divots and holes, not allowing outfielders to track it very well.
That should go as a straight error by the left fielder. Puts Aiden Wild at second base. Runner in scoring position ahead of Blake Hill.
Between the walks and a couple errors, a couple hits today, everyone's on-base percentage is going up.
Down in the dirt, nice block by Miniskin. Blake Hill flew out to left field in his first plate appearance. Everyone ready now as Geary sets. Here's the pitch. It's hit hard on the ground to second base. Staying with it is Matt Muir. He throws to first base in time to get Blake Hill for the final out in the bottom of the second inning. So Milford ends up stranding that two-out base runner. We've played 2 now from Fino, Milford 3, and Oliver Ames 1 here on Milford TV. The second baseman, Matt Muir, will lead things off for the Oliver Ames Tigers in the top of the third. Alex Masick ready to go, and he deals in strike 1. Muir was just barely grazed by a pitch his first time up and ended up coming around to score the only Tigers run so far on the day. Fouls that pitch away, and he's down in an 0-2 hole. The 0-2 pitch up high. Muir, Miniskin, and Adams, the 3 batters expected. This is a hard ground ball up the middle, through for a base hit.
It's not a bad pitch by Masick, low and away. Muir was actually lunging for it, but was able to get a good part of the bat on it, kind of hook it up the middle, and is able to get on for a base hit to lead off the inning.
Second straight inning, Oliver Ames has gotten a leadoff base hit. They do it this time ahead of the middle of their order, their number 3 batter, Josh Miniskin, who has a run batted in already on the day. Takes a look at a called strike 1. Top of the third inning here from Fino Field. 1 ball and 1 strike now on the batter.
It's another one of those breaking balls he wanted to start at the hitter and bring in. But that one, unlike the other ones he's thrown, didn't have as much break, and it missed high and tight.
Now a check over at first base. Safe at first was Muir. Decent pickoff move for a right-handed pitcher for Alex Masick. Quick feet. Here's the pitch, hard on the ground to third base, past the glove of Cody Pratt, and now boxed around in left field by Tamani, and that will allow the runners to advance.
Yeah, I alluded to it earlier. There's a bad hop over on that third base side, and Cody Pratt is usually a sure-handed defender, whether it be at second base, shortstop, or in this case, third base, but he looked like he was in pretty good position there, and ball just took a wicked hop and bounced right over his glove, and then obviously the ball booted around in left field a little bit and allowed the runners to move up.
So trouble now brewing for Masick. The tying runs in scoring position, nobody out in the third. And now here's a ground ball up the middle. It's past the dive of Arcudi. 1 run comes in to score. They will hold up Miniskin. As again, Milford is slow to get the ball back in on the infield. It still is just 1 run on the play. But taking second base after the base hit was Ryan Adams. So he drives in a run to tighten up the score to 3-2.
That ball should have been cut off on the throw from the center fielder. If that ball was cut off, the guy running there wasn't going to make it home. But that ball needs to be cut off because now 1, it eliminates the double play, and 2, it puts another runner in scoring position. A little bit of an overthrow by Speroni in center.
Now it's Kyle Gagliardi at the plate. Fooled on that pitch from Masick.
That pitch ran in on his hands and wasn't able to get the head of the bat out.
Tapper sent foul off towards the backstop. Another situation where Masick would really like to see a strikeout. Tying run at third base, go-ahead run at second. Instead, he gets a ground ball to second base. This will tie the ball game as Arcudi sends the throw to first to get the out there. But in from third base is Miniskin. and we're all knotted at 3.
Milford was in a corners in situation where if the ball's hit to either the third baseman or the first baseman, they're coming home with it. But they were playing with the middle infield back, which means, or it looked like anyway, that they were allowing a run to score if it was hit to either of those positions.
Strike one now to Travis Campbell. 5th Tigers batter to come to the plate. 2 runs home so far to tie the game at 3. The go-ahead run now at third base. Campbell behind in the count. No balls and 2 strikes. He struck out swinging to end the first inning. Here's the pitch. Swung on and missed for strike 3. The 4th K for Alex Masick.
So far today, Masick seems to be hitting his spots. He's missed on a couple, and they've led to hits or walks or, of course, in the hit-by-pitch case scenario. But other than that, Oliver Ames has made a couple good swings on pitches, but Masick's really been hitting his spots. He struck out a few batters here today.
And nothing's been particularly hard to hit. A lot of ground balls that have just found their way through.
Yeah, that one hit in the first inning right up the middle that scored a run for Oliver Ames, that was hit hard. But even the hit to lead off this inning, it was a good pitch by Masick, low and away, kind of a weak line drive up the middle.
They have the runner hung up between third base and the plate. Keeping him in the rundown now, chasing him towards the plate. It's Masick who's going to apply the tag. About 3 feet shy of home plate for the out that ends the inning. So a good defensive play turned in there as they were able to catch the runner Ryan Adams in no man's land. He gets tagged out, and that will bring an end to the top half of the third inning. But 2 runs do come home to score for the Tigers. They're able to tie the game 3-3 now as we head to the bottom of the third inning on Milford TV. Tamani, Masick, and Arcudi, the 3 expected in the bottom of the third inning, facing Kevin Geary. Geary yanks the first pitch too far outside for ball 1. Arcudi has walked in his only plate appearance so far. Heading the count here, 2 balls and no strikes. A good job for Kevin Geary since coming in relief. He did allow a walk back in the first inning, but in that second inning, was able to collect 2 strikeouts. The only batter that reached did so on an error in the outfield, as now Tamani lifts a pitch out to center, the catch made by Travis Campbell.
Yeah, Geary has brought some stability to this Oliver Ames pitching staff. Like you said, he did walk that first batter in the first inning, but keep in mind that he came in with a bases loaded situation, so that's a tough situation for pitchers to come into. But since then, just saw the fly out to by Tamani there. He's really pitched well and got some weak contact.
Masick fouls the pitch away for strike 1. Certainly a different looking Oliver Ames pitching staff without Brendan Welsh as part of this team anymore, so dominant in this Oliver Ames rotation for a number of years. Milford facing him on a couple of different occasions.
I remember last year we faced him at home, and he was good. Good fastball, good knuckle curve, good changeup. I remember I had a good day off of him, but he was tough. I think I went 2 for 3 that day, so I was pretty happy.
Ended up being a 3-1 loss. It was a good pitcher's duel between Welsh and Alex Croteau, but Oliver Ames able to scratch across 3 runs over the course of the day.
Yeah, I remember that was a tough one to lose because both pitchers pitched extremely well. Defense was good on both sides, but you know, offense on Oliver Ames' side just came a little bit more prepared, and they were able to play it a couple more than we were. But great game.
Pitch to Masick, hit hard through the hole between short and third. 1 out single for Alex Masick. Milford getting swept in the season series against Oliver Ames in 2015, swept in the season series in 2014. They lost their first game to the Tigers earlier this season as Arcudi sends a fly ball out to shallow right. Masick getting caught too far off the bag, and he's going to be doubled up. And that will end the inning. A base running gaff there by Alex Masick, way far down the line between first and second on a ball that was caught. And it ends up going as an inning-ending double play. So that is it for this third inning. It is still Milford 3 and Oliver Ames 3 as we head to the fourth inning next on Milford TV. Welcome back to Pheno Field. Tim Coet and Anthony Mazzini here on the call for Milford Scarlet Hawks baseball. Milford taking on the visiting Oliver Ames Tigers. We are tied up at 3 as the Tigers will bring the bottom third of their order to the plate against Alex Masick. This pitch hit hard to shortstop, a lunging stab by Aiden Wild, but cannot get the throw to first base in time. It was a good stretch by Brian Ireland, but hustling down the line was Pearsons, and he beats it out for an infield single.
Yeah, good play by Aiden Wild at shortstop, too. He kind of lost his balance a little bit there after he caught that ball off the bounce, and he made a good strong throw off his back foot, but unfortunately too much speed going down the line and wasn't able to get the out.
So for the third straight inning, Oliver Ames has their leadoff man on base. And now showing bunt is Capisi. They call it a strike. Johnson does throw down to first base, but Pearsons was able to get back. Of course, Chris Pearsons doing all sorts of dancing down that first base line.
He's playing a dangerous game.
Led off the second inning with a single and then proceeded to have a lot of movement down there. Never ultimately tried to steal. Now a pickoff check from Masick, and he's able to dive back into the bag.
Well, obviously he's trusted being a freshman on this team, but got to think Coach Dugan a little bit worried, maybe not worried, but concerned that with those big leads there might be a situation where he gets picked off.
1 ball, 1 strike count to Jeff Capisi. Takes the bunt off and now sends it just past the dive of Aiden Wild out into shallow left field. Wild playing a little bit closer to the second base bag. It left a big hole open on the left side of the infield, and Capisi was able to find it.
Yeah, it's a situation with the runner on first base. The middle infielders pinch a little bit, so it makes a double play ball a little bit easier. So hitting that ball the other way, that's where the shortstop usually would have been, but because he was a little bit closer to second base, pinching in with the double play situation in effect, it allowed that ball to get through.
So now we'll have conferences taking place all over the field as Milford has their entire infield and battery gathered on the pitcher's mound, and the third base coach for Oliver Ames talking things over with the on-deck hitter and both base runners.
Yeah, for Milford, it's probably a situation where it's calming Masick down, but also going over field adjustments, field scenarios. For Oliver Ames, it's probably maybe putting on a hit and run, putting on a bunt to put runners in scoring position, or it's just passing the time. You never know.
So the 2 hits to start off this fourth inning now make 8 hits in all for Oliver Ames, but again, as we talked about last inning, it continues to just be a lot of well-placed ground balls. You have the infield hit where the throw just could not get to first base in time, and Jeff Capisi taking advantage of that wide open hole on the left side as Milford puts on another pickoff play.
Yeah, I was going to say there's another one of those pickoff moves that Coach Pellegrini certainly loves. I remember I was telling you a couple innings ago, we probably had about 4 for first base, 5 for second base, a couple for third, and you got to make sure you're on top of them, because if you do the wrong one, it's not going to go over well.
Bunt attempt down the third base line, but foul. Matt Mancini at the dish, the number 9 hitter. He flew out in his first at bat.
And this situation worked out perfectly for Oliver Ames. You get the 7-8 guys on. It allows the number 9 man to be able to hopefully lay down a bunt, and then you get to the top of the order with runners on second and third, hopefully driving those guys in. Probably see another bunt here.
Instead, Masick spins off the back of the mound, looks that runner back to second base. Nothing in 1 the count to Mancini. pitch from Masick. He gets the bunt out in fair territory. Hard hit. Masick looked down to second base, but ultimately fired to first. He got to that quickly, but didn't want a chance not getting it out in the process.
He could have had him at second base. Maybe it would have been very close, but I think that's a smart decision by Masick, knowing the situation, knowing there are no outs, just allowing the guy to get to second base and taking the out at first.
So we'll go as a sacrifice, and so playing out exactly as you scripted it, Anthony. Runners at second and third now, 1 out in the inning, and Chris Romero, the leadoff hitter, about to step in for his third time.
And Romero being a senior captain on this team, he's certainly been in this situation many times, and he certainly knows that a fly ball, ground ball the other way, finding a gap in the infield, or maybe finding a gap in the outfield himself, just any way to get this run across. Being a close game like this, any run will make a huge difference.
Go-ahead run at third base for the Tigers, and Masick will step off here. Going through the signs again with his battery mate, Nick Johnson. Now the pitch to the plate. Right on the black on the inside part of the plate for a called strike one. The 0-1 pitch now trickles away from Johnson, but not far enough for the runners to try it.
Yeah, it's a good block by Johnson. Got away from him briefly, but he did enough to keep that ball in front of him. At Pheno Field here, the ball really needs to get away from you to allow that run to score. And so anything behind him or well off to his left or right, that runner would score. But he did a nice job of limiting the damage there.
1-1 pitch now. Johnson trying to pull that one back to the outside part of the plate. Coach Pellegrini certainly wanted it.
Looked like a good pitch, but it was just a little bit off the plate.
Now a 2-1 count. This one is hit hard to third base. The runner looked back to third. Now a wild throw to first base. Ireland is able to keep it from sailing into foul ground. Everyone's going to be safe, and the bases are now loaded.
Yeah, it's a tough situation. Cody Pratt got that ball hit to him very quickly, did a good job to snag it. And he had the recognition to look the runner back to third base. But that kind of threw him out of his rhythm a little bit and made a bad throw to first base. And luckily that ball hit the runner. He couldn't get by Ireland, and no runners could advance.
A good move to look the runner back. It looked like where Cody Pratt went wrong was taking those couple of steps towards the third base bag, as if he was going to be able to make a tag play before he threw to first base. It threw off his timing. And now this ball is belted out to left field. Back goes Tamani. It gets over his head and is going to roll towards the fence. This is going to give Oliver Ames the lead. 1 run comes in to score. Now a second run. They will wave a third run to the plate. The throw back in on the infield is not in time. It is a bases clearing triple for Matt Muir. And this breaks the deadlock. Oliver Ames now able to take a 6-3 lead.
And that ball was hammered out to left field. Tamani did take his first step in, which as an outfielder you want to take your first step back, but I don't think he was going to get to that ball either way. And like I said, that ball was hammered out to left field, well over his head, allowing for a triple and an Oliver Ames lead.
Changes the complexion of this game in a hurry, from a 3-all tie to a 6-3 lead now for the Tigers.
And the way Geary's brought stability to that Oliver Ames pitching staff, runs are going to be harder to come by now on the Milford side when they're up to bat. So having the game close like that was crucial for them.
Muir at third base ahead of Josh Miniskin. Muir all geared up for that first pitch fastball and did not miss it. And now Masick falling behind Miniskin, who is 2 for 2. A pair of singles. He has a run batted in. Got a couple of your fellow Milford High School alumni wandering around the field. Jeff Bazazzi, I believe it's Cole McNana with him, if I'm not mistaken.
I think I also saw Evan Costello. Yeah, there's Evan. So good to see the Milford baseball family back today. Unfortunately, we can't be out there in uniform helping this team, but, you know, It's good to come back, and I think I got the best seat in the house compared to all of them. Best gig.
Called strike now dealt in by Masick to the catcher, Josh Miniskin. The infield pulled in all the way around for the Scarlet Hawks. The windup and the pitch. Lined foul to the backstop. That will fill the count. You can hear the pop of the mitt of a relief pitcher warming up behind the left field bleachers for the Scarlet Hawks.
Looks like a left-hander.
Here's the payoff pitch. That is low for ball 4. That's just the first walk allowed by Alex Masick. This will bring Coach Pellegrini out of the dugout. And that will be the day for Alex Masick. Pitched well through the early innings of this game, but got himself into trouble here in the 4th, and the big blow in the inning, the 3-run triple. That has allowed Oliver Ames to take a 6-3 lead.
Looks like Ty Verneau is going to come in for relief here.
He'll make some warm-up tosses. We'll be back with more next here on Milford TV. New pitcher on for the Scarlet Hawks, number 7, Tyler Renaud. Tyler continues to get called upon in these middle relief situations. He's done a good job. Milford's gotten good work out of their bullpen overall through the latter stages of this season. They got great work out of Nate Irwin in their victory in their previous game. Another rundown situation here as Milford has the runner hung up between first and second base. That runner still perched at third. They'll now get the tag down as Miniskin will be out at first base. He almost got back in there as Milford also had to keep their focus on that runner at third base who stayed put. And they are able to get the out at first.
Yeah, that's one of the toughest rundowns to execute because you also want to keep your eye on the guy at third base, but at the same time you don't want to lose your focus and attention between the actual rundown. So that was a good execution by Milford. And also good footwork and acrobatics by Miskinen to almost get back safely.
This pitch hit in the air out to shallow center field. Out goes Anthony Arcudi from second base. He is able to make the catch, so very nice work out of the bullpen from Renaud. He's able to get the final 2 outs. No further damage done, but 3 big runs put up in the frame by Oliver Ames. They're able to take a 6-3 lead over Milford. We'll be back with the bottom of the 4th next here on Milford TV. Oliver Ames with 6 runs on 10 hits with 1 error. Milford 3 runs, only 2 hits, and also 1 miscue. Milford, who stands with 10 losses on the season, 1 other defeat before the end of the regular season, will result in elimination from potential playoffs for the Scarlet Hawks. And if they don't want that to be today, they need to come back. Down by 3 runs now heading into the middle innings. Nick Johnson leading off against Kevin Geary. Geary has been very good out of the bullpen.
And you can hear that Milford dugout. They certainly don't want this to end. They're cheering it up.
Johnson ahead now in the count, 2 balls and a strike. Nick walked with the bases loaded in his only at-bat so far back in the 1st inning. Now sends this pitch on a line to the backstop to even the count at 2-2. We have seen some late season heroics out of some of the Scarlet Hawks teams over this 2015-16 school year. The boys basketball team, who at mid-season stood just 2 losses away from being eliminated from the playoffs, they made that comeback and were able to sneak their way into the tournament. The girls basketball team nearly followed suit.
And that's good to see basketball get back on track too after those couple down years after going to the state tournament for a few years. It's good to see them get back on track. Milford always has had a competitive basketball team. All sports have been competitive, so it's good to see them get back on track.
A walk for Nick Johnson to open up the bottom of the 4th. A number of those varsity boys basketball players made their way onto this baseball team. Masick, Tamani, Arcudi among them. And so now we have a significant argument being put up out of the third base dugout from Coach Pellegrini as they ruled a swing on that check attempt by Brian Ireland. Coach Pellegrini apoplectic after the call, looking for help from the infield umpire. The home plate ump not inclined to make the check. And so now Ireland sends one on the ground to second base, could be two. The throw to second base out there, the relay to first is in time. 4-6-3, they turn their second double play of the game.
And that one was executed perfectly. Quick hands by the second baseman Muir, and a great turn by the shortstop, and allowed the double play to go as planned.
So a leadoff base runner, but erased on the double play. Now 2 outs and the base is empty for Speroni, who looks at strike one.
Going back to that argument there a couple minutes ago, I think one of Coach Pellegrini's greatest attributes is always sticking up and standing up for his players. Always wants to put them in the best situation, and on that check swing he wanted to make sure that the call was the correct call, and he's always very quick to stand up for his players, and I think that's one of the best qualities he has as a coach.
Booted ball at shortstop by Chris Romero on a ground ball that could have ended the inning. Goes as an E6, allows Speroni to reach, and the inning will continue for Alex Cody.
No ball is a guaranteed out here at Pheno Field on the ground.
Cody officially 0 for 1. He has walked and struck out. Takes that pitch low. Minniskin able to just keep it from going to the backstop. As the home team here at Pheno Field, how much easier is it for Milford to play this field? Do you get to a point where you know where some of the more eccentric parts of the field are?
Nope, because a different one shows up every day.
Hard ground ball back to the pitcher, in and out of the glove. The throw to first base sails away from the first baseman's mitt. Onto third base goes Speroni. A wild play as the runner was off with the pitch.
That was a very athletic play by Geary, reaching around behind his back to almost snag that ball off the bounce. And I think with the little whip action as he went to go turn, forced the ball to come out of his glove, and at that point just a poor throw. A little bit of a confliction with the runner there as the first baseman tried to reach for the ball, but great play. But getting back to your question a minute ago, no, it's not much easier. You kind of have an idea. The third base lip is obviously very well known by infielders on that side, and you always know that the best thing to do is attack the ball, because you want to make sure that you get your hop, to get the best hop possible, because if you wait, you're bound to get a bad hop somewhere. But it's not that much easier. Every field has its dips and bumps and stuff, but like I said, a new one seems to appear every single day. Just when you think you fill one in or flatten one out, right there, right next to it, there's a new one. It's incredible. But I mean, a beautiful field overall. One of my favorite places to play.
Meanwhile, a big spot in this game for Aiden Wild. He has a chance to bat here with runners at the corners and 2 outs. Wild representing the tying run at the plate. Aiden is 1 for 2 so far. He has reached base twice. He singled to drive in a run in the first, reached on an error by the left fielder in the second inning.
And one of the best hitters to come up in this situation, Aiden Wild.
Sends a hard ground ball to third base. Nice play by Pearsons. He will throw to first base to get the out that ends the inning. No time to react over there at the hot corner, but Pearsons played it nicely. Made a good accurate throw across to get the final out, so Milford strands 2 runners on base. We've completed 4 innings now here at Pheno Field. It is Oliver Ames 6 and Milford 3 on coverage of Milford High School Athletics on Milford TV. Milford presented with an opportunity in the bottom of the 4th inning, but they could not take advantage. They continue to trail this game 6-3, as Tyler Renault will deal with Batters 5, 6, and 7. High breaking ball. It sneaks its way past Cody Pratt at third base, out into left.
Oh, sorry, Tim. They're picking on that left side of the infield there. A lot of balls have gone between that gap between third base and shortstop. Not really much Pratt or Aiden Wild could do on that one. But Oliver Ames has really hit the ball hard on that side of the infield today.
Renault will immediately check in over at first base, where Kyle Gagliardi is able to get back safely. It's the second time Kyle's been on base. He reached on a fielder's choice in the first, drove in a run on a ground out in the third, and now singles here to lead off the top of the fifth. Travis Campbell now at the plate. He's done the same thing twice, and that is strike out. He's able to make good contact here, but cannot keep it fair. Down 0-2.
See Oliver Ames putting more of the barrel on the bat, barrel on the ball now as this game goes along. In the beginning, it was a lot of weak contact. Now they seem to really be hitting it well.
Called strike 3 right on the outside part of the plate to Travis Campbell, who has now struck out 3 times this afternoon. That's the first strikeout for Renault since coming into the game, but the 5th strikeout overall for Milford pitching. And again, Tyler will send a pickoff move over to first base.
And that strikeout looked like it was his knuckleball. And I was telling you a little bit earlier, Tim, he was one of the only high school pitchers I've seen throw a accurate, successful knuckleball. And it's really a good pitch when he has it going. He also features a sweeping curveball, and I'd say an above-average fastball.
Dealing now with Chris Pearsons, who sends one out to right, testing Blake Hill for the first time all day, and Blake is able to make the catch for out number 2.
Unfortunately, we won't be seeing Pearson's acrobatics on first base this time around.
It's the first time Milford has retired him today, now 2 for 3 in the game. 2 outs in the top of the 5th for the number 8 hitter, Jeff Capisi, who has struck out, singled, and scored a run. Takes a pitch on the outside part of the plate for a called strike. Lefty against lefty in this situation. Now a swing and a miss. Renault going right back to the same location, and this time getting Capisi to chase. He's frustrated. The 0-2 pitch, a swing and a miss for strike 3. 2 strikeouts in the inning for Tyler Renault. He's able to quickly work around that leadoff base hit. We head to the bottom of the 5th inning. Time starting to wind down for Milford. They need a comeback. They trail it here 6-3 on coverage of Milford High School baseball on Milford TV. Milford and Oliver Ames matching up here at Pheno Field this afternoon. This is the final time that Milford and Oliver Ames will meet as division opponents. Of course, Oliver Ames set to make the transition to the Kelly Rex division of the Hockomock League next season, with North Attleboro making the corresponding move to the Davenport. Kevin Geary back on the hill. He has made life very difficult for these Milford batters since coming into the game. Blake Hill leads off. He sends a hot shot to first base that eats up Capisi and ends up out in right field.
And there's a perfect example of those hops we've been talking about all game. That ball was on the ground, on the ground, on the ground, and then boom, right over his head. You got to watch out for those, because you're on the ground, you're waiting for that ball to just roll into your mitt, and next thing you know, you could get one right in the face. So he's lucky that one went over his head, but unfortunately for Geary and the rest of Oliver Ames, that's a leadoff runner for Milford.
Certainly a tough luck error for Capisi. Didn't do anything wrong in that situation, just got a very tricky hop.
But that's one of those situations where obviously you're not expecting that and you're not thinking it, but he could have came on that ball a little bit. Very softly hit, and he could have came on and got the better hop instead of letting that one eat him up.
Meanwhile, Zach Tamani sends a ball down the third base line that just kicked foul. Likely would have been extra bases if it Could have just traveled over the bag in fair ground.
And it's tough on a day like today to see that because that ball bounces over the bag and you don't know whether it hits dust or if it hits chalk. So kind of tough to see, but I think they made the right call.
Takes a pitch that misses outside. Ahead in the count, 2 balls and a strike. Now sends a grounder foul down the third base line over towards the Milford bench area. Virtually every player in the Milford dugout standing right at the edge of that chalk line outside of the dugout, cheering on their teammates.
And that's always been encouraged by all the coaches on the Milford side, always cheering, always make sure you're into the game. The only two that really get an exception would be the pitcher at the time and occasionally the catcher.
Blake Hill takes off on a pitch that is up over the head of Tamani. Miniskin throws through, but not nearly in time. It's a steal for Hill. Hill now in scoring position. The next pitch to Tamani is in the air behind the first base bag. First baseman gives way, now takes charge once again and is able to make the catch. Looks like he was going to yield to the left fielder, or excuse me, the right fielder coming in to make the play, but ultimately made the grab himself in foul territory.
That's another one of those tough balls for a first baseman, right over your shoulder. You got to turn and go and get it, and you got the second baseman coming in, you got the right fielder coming in, you got to worry about a fence. There's a lot of foul ground over there before you get to the fence, but eventually you need to worry about it. But he did a great job over there, being able to look up, find the ball, track it, get to a spot, and make the catch and be able to get the ball in quickly before Hill could advance to third.
So 1 out in the inning. Blake Hill at second base as Tyler Renault will step to the plate, batting in the number 6 spot. That was previously occupied by Alex Masick. Renault takes the first pitch low and outside for ball 1. Masick had been 1 for 2, or excuse me, 1 for 1 with a single, a walk. So now the right-handed batting Renault. He takes a strike here to even the count. Renault, a lefty pitcher, but a righty batter. Blake Hill takes off for third. The pitch is hit on the ground through the left side for a base hit. Hill will keep on running, and he will score on the RBI single for Tyler Renault. Hit and run executed to perfection right there for the Scarlet Hawks. They pull a little bit closer now at 6-4.
Yeah, it's a good job finding the hole by Renault between the infield. And a good call by Pellegrini and staff to send Blake Hill. He obviously has some wheels, so he can get to third pretty much easily. And with the hit, he was able to come in and score.
And so it looks like more good news here for the Scarlet Hawks as Kevin Geary's day on the pitcher's mound is done. He had been very tough since coming in with just 1 out in the first inning. That is the first run he had allowed. Did allow 1 inherited runner to score before the end of the first inning. As now it looks like Sam Burr will come in relief, so he will make some warm-up tosses. We will be back with more here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Milford trying to make a comeback. They've scored once so far in the inning. It's now 6-4 here on Milford TV. After 4 innings of 1-run, 3-hit relief out of Kevin Geary, he is replaced here by the right-handed tossing Sam Burr. He inherits a runner at first base, 1 out in the inning, and deals in strike 1 to Anthony Arcudi. Arcudi has reached on a fielder's choice and hit into what turned out to be a 9-3 inning-ending double play as Masick got caught off the first base bag. Here he sends an opposite field hit out into right. A wide turn for Renault around second base. He's able to dive back into the bag as the throw from Mancini came back in to the shortstop.
It was a good job by Arcudi, seeing the first pitch, gauging speed on Burr's fastball, and then going the other way with the next pitch, finding a hole between first and second. And good job by Renault, taking a wide turn at second base, able to get back safely and keep this rally alive for Milford.
Runners at first and second now, 1 out in the inning. Nick Johnson now comes to the plate as the breeze here at Fino starts to blow in towards the plate. Johnson shows bunt. He gets it down out in front of the pitcher's mound. Burr fields and throws to first to get the out there. The sacrifice good for Johnson. Pushes Renault to third base. Arcudi down to second. The tying runs are in scoring position. And it will take something now out of Brian Ireland. Or it looks like we will see a pinch hitter here for Ireland as Matt Fornashari has a bat in hand. And another conference taking place on the pitcher's mound. The full infield in. So a key moment in this game as Fornashari will bat for Brian Ireland. In a 6-4 game, Oliver Ames out in front, but Milford with those tying runs at second and third. And the chatter ramps up now from the Milford dugout and from these fans here at Fino.
Depending on where it's hit, a hit could score 2 here.
The first pitch drops in low. Pops out of the mitt of Miniskin, but stays right there in the left side batter's box. So Fornashari starts out ahead in the count. Matt has been good when called upon this season, and he is hit by a pitch. Hit off that left shoulder. He will travel down to first base, and they will be loaded up now for the leadoff batter, Chris Speroni.
And another good hitter to call upon here, Speroni. Coming into the day, .351 average, 20 hits and 57 at-bats.
The first pitch misses to Speroni for ball 1. Chris has walked, struck out, and reached on an error so far this afternoon. Looking for his first hit today. If he gets it here, he will likely tie the game. Late on that cut, and the count evens at 1-1.
Got to put a ball in play here. Once you put the ball in play, you never know what can happen. We've seen the hops on the infield and outfield today.
A swing and a miss again from Speroni. Frustrated with himself as he falls down in the count, 1 ball and 2 strikes. 2 outs in the bottom of the 5th inning. Milford with another bases loaded chance. Here's the pitch, and it just misses low. Half of the Oliver Ames infield started in towards the dugout.
Yeah, you gotta love the mixed reaction there. Everyone on Milford's side saying good eye, and then the discontent on the Oliver Ames side.
2 balls and 2 strikes now the count. Here is the pitch. And this time it is in for a called strike 3. Speroni not happy. Coach Pellegrini not happy. So a couple of pitches right down low in the strike zone. One called ball 2 and one called strike 3 that ends the inning. So Milford will strand the bases loaded. They do get 1 run. However, we will head into the 6th inning with Milford trailing Oliver Ames 6-4 here on Milford TV. Milford with another bases loaded chance in the game with 2 outs. They could not score as Chris Speroni took what turned out to be a bit of a controversial strike 3 call, and now the home plate umpire coming over to give a warning to Coach Pellegrini as tempers get a little bit hot here in the late stages of the game.
Well, when you're in a crucial game like this, every call counts, every out counts, every hit counts, everything counts. And like I said earlier, just standing up for his players and want to make sure that everything, in a way, benefits the team and helps them get back on track and help them hopefully come out with a win here today.
Matt Mancini, the number 9 hitter at the plate against Tyler Renaud. He lines a pitch out to shallow left field, down for a base hit. Same story, different inning for Oliver Ames. They have had a leadoff base hit in innings 2 through 6 now. And Renaud will now check in on that runner at first base. Mancini aboard ahead of Chris Romero as we go 4th time through this Oliver Ames lineup. Now the pitch to the plate, Romero bunts it. Taking charge is the pitcher, Renaud. The throw glances off the glove of Arcudi, covering the bag. Everyone will be safe, and Mancini will end up all the way at third base.
That's a great bunt by Romero. Able to kind of pull it with them down to third base. And unfortunately, the coverage at first was a little bit late for Milford. The throw was a little bit into the runner.
So it should go as a bunt base hit for Romero. A throwing error on Renaud that allowed Mancini to advance to third. Runners at the corners for Oliver Ames, no outs in the inning, and Matt Muir, who has the biggest blow in this game. It came back in the 4th inning, a 3-run triple. Muir shows bunt here, pulls the bat back and takes strike 1.
Anytime there's a 1st and 3rd situation, you always got to be aware of that runner at first base who very well could go. But with Renaud and his above-average pickoff move, should be able to hopefully keep the runner in check at first base.
Anytime you have a lefty on the mound, that pickoff move is going to be tough.
It makes it a lot harder for the runner to read. And most pitchers, they have they have their good move, their medium move, and their really good move that they go when they want to try to get someone out. But his below-average move is still a very good move.
Pop up on the infield here over towards shortstop. Aiden Wild is able to stay with it and make the catch. A big first out of the inning. On the pop out on the infield, it keeps the runners frozen, but still a long way to go. Just 1 down now for Josh Miniskin, the catcher. Milford has not been able to retire Miniskin so far today. He is 2 for 2. He has singled twice. He's also walked. He's driven in a run and scored a run. As the runner takes off for second base, Johnson throws through, high throw, and it was too late.
That's a good pitch to run on for Romero. A curveball. Good throw by Johnson, but unfortunately, just because of the speed of the curveball, ball got there so late to him, he wasn't able to come really even close with a throw to second. Accurate, but not in time.
So it takes the conventional double play off the board. And it looks like now Coach Dion will come out for a mound visit.
And this is a guy that really knows what he's talking about on the bench. He's a very valuable asset to the Milford team, Coach Dion is.
So 6-4 is the score. Milford getting a run back in the bottom of the 5th inning, but now in danger of allowing Oliver Ames to expand this lead back out again with 2 in scoring position and 1 out. The number 3 batter at the plate.
And if you're Ty Renaud, you really need a strikeout here. Or weak contact somewhere. Can't let that run score. You battled hard that last inning to get that run in to make it a 6-4 ball game. Can't give it right back here.
Oliver Ames now with 13 hits in this ball game, with the 2 so far here, and it looks like they will opt to put on Miniskin here. Have the opportunity to get a force out at any base, possibly get an inning-ending double play.
Not a bad move, trying to go lefty on lefty with Adams on deck.
Nick Johnson having to lunge for that last ball. Always looks like, regardless at what level you watch baseball, the intentional walk always looks uncomfortable for the pitcher.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's basically playing catch. You're just kind of picking your leg up and throwing instead of going through your full windup or full stretch or whatever you do as a pitcher. But I never really understood it. Granted, I'm not a pitcher. But, I mean, how hard is it to throw a 50-mile-an-hour throw at a home plate or however hard you're going to throw it?
First pitch swinging. This one is hit on the ground to first base. They were able to get the force play at the plate. And no, it looks like they will not get the out at the plate as Johnson, instead of just keeping his foot on the plate, tried to swipe the tag. And so the run will score.
That's just a lack of concentration. Loading the bases with the intentional walk, that was the plan to get the force out at home.
So it'll go in the books as a fielder's choice for Adams, as now this one is hit on a line to third base. And making the catch is Pratt. He's able to step on the third base bag for the out that ends the inning. A 5 unassisted double play. What a momentum change right there, as you had the mental mistake at the plate by Nick Johnson, and quickly Milford is able to get a really good defensive play at third base out of Cody Pratt. So just to get everyone caught up here, as we are now in the bottom of the 6th inning, it is indeed still a 6-4 score. So Milford was able to get that out at the plate. We were going off of the reaction from Coach Pellegrini, frustrated at Nick Johnson, but the out was still recorded at the plate, not a double play at third base. So everything looking one way, but actually going down in the books another way. So it is still 6-4. Oliver Ames did not score in the top half of the 6th inning. We do apologize for the misinformation. So still just a 2-run ball game as Milford brings batters 2, 3, and 4 to the plate in the bottom of the 6th. They have just 6 outs remaining to try to mount a comeback. Sam Burr remains on the hill in relief for the Tigers. Alex Cody starting off this inning. He sends a liner down the left field line, but foul.
And Alex Cody, only a freshman on this varsity squad. It seems to be a trend since Coach Pellegrini has taken over the head of Milford varsity baseball to take a freshman each year. He started off with Blake Hill, who's now a junior, Aiden Wilds, and now Alex Cody. And I think it's a pretty good idea, honestly, to take the freshman who seems to have the most potential possibly, and give him that varsity experience, give him some of the varsity playing time. So by the time he becomes a senior, he can become a leader. Unfortunately, he goes down looking there for the first out of the inning.
Called strike 3. It's the second time Cody has struck out in the game. First time was swinging back in the 2nd inning. So now 1 for 3 on the day for the Milford number 2 hitter. We now go down to Aiden Wild.
If there's going to be an inning for Milford to have a good chance at a comeback here, it would probably be this inning with the middle of the order coming up, Wild and then Hill on deck.
Aiden Wild so far today 1 for 3. He came up in a pretty big spot back in the 4th inning with the tying runs at first and third base, but grounded out to third base. And a big swing and a miss there. Milford has had their chances through these later innings. A bases loaded chance in the 5th, runners at the corners in the 4th. Wild takes a pitch up at eye level. That evens the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes, 1 out and the base is empty in the bottom of the 6th. Here's the pitch, and it's hit out to center field. Will it hang up? In comes Travis Campbell. He's able to make the catch on the move.
Yeah, Campbell's had his troubles out there in center field today. So he's finally able to retire Aiden on that fly ball.
So 2 up and 2 down in the 6th, and that leaves it up to Blake Hill. Hill reached on an error to open last inning and came around to score on the RBI single from Tyler Renault. The fans staying in this one, the bench staying engaged as Milford trails by a margin of 6-4. Taking a called strike that time is Hill. He does not have a hit yet today. There's the pitch. That's down in the dirt.
If there's a kid on this Milford team that'll hit a ball a mile, it'll be Mr. Hill right now. He's hitless today. He doesn't go hitless in too many games, but he can hit the ball a very long way.
Hits this pitch a long way, but foul over the backstop, over the press box, and a long ways away. Hill trying to hang tough with 2 strikes. He is ready. Sam Burr is ready. The pitch is sent foul to the backstop. Just missing our backstop camera. Burr looks in for the sign, now comes to the set position. Here is his pitch, and that is inside. 2 balls and 2 strikes now on Hill, 2 outs. The bases are empty. The 2-2 pitch, a little bit upstairs.
Yeah, the catcher visibly pulled that ball down from a little bit above the letters back into the strike zone. That's a good call by the home plate umpire to recognize that. And that was very visible. Wasn't discreet.
Here's the payoff pitch now. And another line drive to the backstop. Again, taking aim at our camera. Hill trying to make something happen here with 2 outs. Burr working quickly, another 3-2 pitch, and it's swung on and missed for strike 3. Hill may very well have chased ball 4. It's a 1-2-3, bottom half of the 6th inning. And so we will head on to the 7th. Oliver Ames maintaining a 6-4 lead over the Milford Scarlet Hawks here on coverage of Milford High School Athletics on Milford TV. Oliver Ames with 6 runs on 13 hits and 2 errors. Can make it 3 errors for the Oliver Ames Tigers. Milford 4 runs on 5 hits with an error. As we have entered into the 7th inning, Tyler Renault has done a good job out of the bullpen. He continues to pitch here. As this pitch is sent in the air out to right field, Blake Hill settles underneath and makes the catch. And so for the first time since the 1st inning, Milford is able to retire the leadoff batter as Travis Campbell flies out for out number 1. Now Chris Pearsons, 2 for 3 on the day. He settles in on the right side. Takes the first pitch outside for a ball. Renault working quickly, deals in a strike that evens up the count. Now a half swing. They'll check down at first base. The infield umpire says no swing.
Yeah, it looked like he held up on that one. Good pitch up and away, just outside of the zone, but Pearsons was able to hold up.
2-1, or excuse me, the 3-1 offering misses for ball 4. So a 1-out walk here for Renault. It's Tyler's first walk since coming into the ball game. Only 2 walks for Milford pitching today. And so that once again puts the fancy footwork of Chris Pearsons at first base ahead of Capisi.
Looks like maybe a pinch hitter, Cam Johnson.
23 taking the place of 33 Jeff Capisi, so indeed Cam Johnson, the pinch hitter. He sends one to second base. A tough hop for Arcudi, couldn't stay with it. Had eyes potentially towards a inning-ending double play, but instead the ball eludes him. And it'll be 2 on with 1 out now for the Tigers, looking for some insurance runs here in the top of the 7th.
Yeah, it's one of those line drives that looks like it knuckled off the bat, and when you have the knuckle coming off the bat, it doesn't have any spin on it, so it, like similar to a knuckleball pitch, it can move anywhere, and that one looked like it just dipped right at the last second. Looked like Arcudi had it lined up at second base, but that ball just dipped, and you saw him kind of sprawl out for it, and that might have been a situation there.
Line drive out to left field for a base hit. Waiting for it is Tamani, the runner coming to the plate. The throw will be cut off, as coming around to score from second base is Pearsons. And there is the 7th Oliver Ames run. A key insurance run perhaps. Johnson ends up at second base on the RBI single by the number 9 man, Matt Mancini, who has had a good day at the plate out of that number 9 spot. A pair of singles. He also had a sacrifice bunt that helped pave the way for the big 3-run inning Oliver Ames put up in the 4th.
Well, Oliver Ames has a very deep lineup, as shown by the couple of hits by Mancini today. And I think they're 14 hits, 15 hits today. So, I mean, everyone can hit in this lineup. And that's been the difference today. Milford with far fewer hits than Oliver Ames.
And even 15 hits now on the day. You can make it 16 as this is going to sneak through the left side for a hit. The runner rounding third base and will score. An RBI single for Chris Romero that brings Cam Johnson to the plate. And now an 8-4 lead for Oliver Ames, as they may very well be putting this game out of reach here in the top of the 7th inning. Tyler Renault, who had pitched well in his first inning in 2/3, but looks to be running out of steam here in the 7th.
Yeah, it looks like the Oliver Ames hitters have made some adjustments, kind of gotten used to his sort of sidearm 3/4 approach and that sweeping curveball. And they've made the necessary adjustments and have been able to hit the ball hard off him this inning.
Now another hard hit ball, this one to third. Pratt is able to get the out at third base. He fires to first. The ball gets out of the glove of Brian Ireland, as there's all sorts of dancing going on now on the bases. So they were able to get the lead runner, Mancini, out on the forced play at third. They could not get the double play as Matt Muir was able to reach it first.
And that was kind of risky, throwing the ball around the infield like that, especially when every run counts. You don't want that throw back to third base to go wild and allow another run to score, but it didn't happen that way.
Breaking ball bends in for called strike 1 to Josh Miniskin. On that play, Chris Romero ended up at third base. So it's runners at the corners now with 2 outs for the Tigers. Romero at third with Muir at first. Miniskin at the plate, who has been on base 4 times, 2 singles and 2 walks. One of those walks was intentional. Lifts the ball out to right field. This is trouble in no man's land out there in shallow right field. It lands for a hit, and another run will cross the plate.
Well, when you got to play in or you play halfway with the infield, that's always a tough ball because the right fielder can't really come in too much farther. And that ball just fell between Arcudi, Ireland, and Hill. Not much anyone could really do with that one. If they're playing in the normal position, that's Still a tough play, but it's a little bit easier to track down, but everyone had to go a long way to get to that one.
And that hit just sort of sums up the day here between these two teams. Oliver Ames, it seems like every bounce has gone their way. Milford, the same has not been true.
No, but Oliver Ames has come out very aggressive today, swinging the bats. Credit to them.
Hard hit ball. This is through for a base hit and will mean another run, as coming across the plate is Matt Muir. And you have to wonder how much longer they will go with Tyler Renault here, who is getting hit around pretty good.
Looks like what Dion is out there for right now. Also to calm down Tyler Renault, but also to give the pitcher in the bullpen, who I can't seem to identify, but to give him a little bit more time to warm up.
Looks like it is Nate Irwin warming up. So a very tough inning here for the Scarlet Hawks. They entered into this top of the 7th inning trailing by just 2 runs, but so far it's been a 4-run rally for the Oliver Ames Tigers, taking a 10-4 lead, so it will take quite a comeback in the bottom half of this inning for Milford to keep their playoff dreams alive.
Well, before they can worry about a comeback, they got to worry about getting out of this inning first. Still got a couple runners on base here with now Kyle Gagliardi up to bat.
Starts off looking at a called strike. RBIs in this inning so far from Mancini, Romero, Miniskin, and Adams. And now the number 5 hitter, Kyle Gagliardi, at the plate. He has a run batted in the game. Sends a fly ball out to shallow center field. Out goes Arcudi, off balance, but he's able to hang on to make the catch for the out that finally brings an end to the inning. But Oliver Ames is able to bat around in the top of the 7th inning. They score 4 times. And what was a 2-run lead not too long ago now balloons out to a 10-4 lead for Oliver Ames. The last chance for the Milford Scarlet Hawks comes your way next here on Milford TV. Milford just 3 outs away from possibly seeing their streak of postseason appearances come to an end. They're trailing the Oliver Ames Tigers by a score of 10-4. As Milford will send Zach Tamani, Tyler Renault and Anthony Arcudi to the plate in this inning. Batters 5, 6, and 7. This game staying close up until this 7th inning. We mentioned it earlier, Milford with some good scoring chances in the 4th and 5th that they just could not take full advantage of. As now Zach Tamani sends a ground ball to first base, boxed around by the first baseman. The throw in still gets there in time. Jeff Capisi still out there defensively at first base, had all kinds of trouble securing that ball, but close to the first base bag, and Owe is able to get the out. One out and the base is empty. Tyler Renault now at the plate. Drove in a run with a single his last time up. Now nearly gets hit by the pitch. Once again, you can hear the church bells off in the distance as we're just after the hour of 6 p.m. Renault floats a pitch foul. The count evens at 1 ball and 1 strike.
Renault likes going with the no batting gloves look. Not too many players like to use that look today. They feel they don't get as good of a grip on the bat, but Renault likes to go old school.
Swing and a miss, and the count goes to 1-2. Brendan Cambrola has a bat in hand in the on-deck circle, as Renault strikes out swinging. Two up and 2 down in the inning. That's the 3rd strikeout now for Sam Burr since coming into the game. Oliver Ames has needed 3 pitchers in this one, as their starting pitcher, Nick Zwirly, lasted just a third of an inning. As Cambrola sends a high fly ball out to left center field. Settling underneath is Travis Campbell. He makes the catch, and that is the final out in the ball game here this afternoon. Milford goes 1-2-3 in this bottom half of the 7th inning, and they will lose to the Oliver Ames Tigers by a final score of 10-4. It is Milford's 11th loss on the season, and that will eliminate the opportunity for Milford to get back to the 500 mark. And Anthony, it looks like that 37-year streak of postseason appearances, unfortunately, is going to come to an end here in 2016.
Yeah, well, Oliver Ames is always a tough team to play, so putting them in this situation, 5-10 coming in against a tough team like Oliver Ames, it's not an ideal situation by any means, but, you know, it's been a little bit of a rough season for Milford this year, and it's tough to see the streak go away, but Milford's always a competitive team. It's always a competitive baseball town. And you got to think that they'll come back next year and hopefully put a new streak together.
Still have 4 games to go on the regular season. A couple coming up this weekend. We'll see if we'll have more coverage of Scarlet Hawks baseball coming up as they round out their regular season schedule. The regular season for 2016 will come to an end by midweek next week, so the spring sports season always tends to go by fast, and it does once again here in 2016. But that will wrap up our coverage here today. A big thank you to all of our crew on hand, our director, Tim Rosidi, our camera operator, Rob O'Keefe, and for Anthony Mazzini, I am Tim Coette. Your final score one final time. Milford falls to Oliver Ames by a final score of 10-4. This has been a presentation of Milford High School Athletics here on Milford TV. So long, everybody.